today's webinar. Today we are presenting webinar on how to prepare for your corporate journey from getting a job to growing in a corporate, organized by Applied Science and Humanities Department of Parul Polytechnic Institute, Parul University. The main agenda of this webinar is to know the key attributes that recruiters look for during a job interview. Here we will learn about the skills that we need to succeed in professional life beyond the prospective skills coded for the job role. Also the value system and how to build winning habits. I, Vaishali Nathwani, would like to introduce today's guest speaker, Payal Kaul Mirakur, the ex-VP of IBM. She has 25 years of experience driving overall business growth of multinational companies, defining long-term growth strategy, market share, revenue growth, thereby increasing overall stakeholder value and managing businesses across the globe. She was recognized as the top 20 women leaders in IT industry by DataQuest. As one of the high-ranking corporate officers in India, her previous roles include being the Chief Commercial Officer of ISS Services, world's largest facility management company headquartered in Denmark, and the Chief Strategy Officer of Arisent, a global design and engineering company then led by the KKR Group. She was also the Vice President of Invest India, the National Investment Promotion and Facilitation Agency, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, where she spearheaded setting up the operational arm of the Make in India initiative and built a pipeline of $100 billion in foreign direct investment, working with the Prime Minister's office, all the federal ministers and state governments of India. She also represented the country in various investment forums and events like Davos. In her last role as VP for Strategic Services Business Development, she headed large deals for IBM driving overall cross BU. It's a privilege to welcome you, ma'am. You can start with the session.
Thank you so much, Ms. Vaishali. Thank you for your lovely words. And it is an absolute pleasure to be talking with all your students. And I'm really looking forward to this interaction. Thank you. So to all of you, all the students, good morning. And given that you all are going to start your professional journeys soon, I thought it's best to talk with you on how to start and how to flourish in your journey as a professional. You know, as Ms. Vaishali said, I have spent 25 years in corporate. Academically, I'm an engineer from Pune University, and I've spent my career in business and P&L management, although some very diverse roles, but mostly in business and mostly with technical companies. And all my tips today will be based on my experience and, you know, my personal my personal anecdotes and personal experience of what I went through in my professional journey. Right. And I want to focus this session on giving you some tips on how to get your dream job, how to successfully maneuver your career to achieve your best potential. And last but not the least, I would want to spend some time talking about EQ, emotional intelligence, and the skills that you need to develop in order to ensure a happy, fulfilling journey in life, you know, not just professional, but how do you assimilate and bring together your professional and personal life to ensure that you live a fulfilling life. So this was, if Ms. Vaishali, if you could go to the next slide.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry. I think Mr. Hemal, you'll have to go to the next slide. Okay. So I don't know if you're able to change the slides, but if you could go to slide number 3, right?
Sure, ma'am, I will communicate with you.
Okay. So
Just
if you
one
go
second.
to slide number 3, it starts with bagging your dream job, right? And it's okay if we don't get the slide because it's basically just pointers for me to talk. But let's start with what will help you bagging your dream job. First and foremost, have clarity on what you want to do in life based on what you know, and choose a career that you want to build. Choose what you are good at and don't choose something because it's the fad these days. For example, I did my engineering in electronic and telecommunication. I passed out in 1995, and this was the time that IT sector was really, really booming in India, right? And most of my batchmates were going into IT companies as software engineers, right? And of course, as part of electronics and telecommunication, I had gone through some classes which were into coding, but I had no interest in coding. And I did not want to take up a career which I may not end up liking. So I decided instead to be in a technical company and go into sales, right? So I wanted to be in a technology company, but I wanted to be on the business side because I believed that that's the strength that I brought to the table. So my first job was with a company called Pertec Computers Limited, who used to, it was like HCL or Wipro. And at that time, they were all in hardware, just starting off the software journey. And PCL used to sell computers. And from there, in 2 years, I moved to a company called Alcatel, which was one of the largest telecommunication equipment manufacturing company, right? And I used everything that I had studied in my telecommunication engineering, right? The second point, which is very important, is research and decide the company or at least the industry that you want to start off your career with, right? And this means reading up about the industry, meeting people, understanding various roles that exist in the market, and deciding what interests you. And my recommendation is you should not depend only on campus interviews, right? Almost all the companies hire off campus. For example, I'm thinking so for example, if I take, let's look at Google, right? So I don't know if you're aware, but obviously Google is very choosy about the campuses they go to and hire from. But at the same time, Google also hires off campus, right? Freshers. And the best way to go to Google is to befriend someone who's already working in Google, because they hire through referrals, right? So if you can connect on LinkedIn, and I know there are a lot of students from first year and hopefully some students from second, third year, you'll realize that LinkedIn is one of the greatest tools for networking, right? For you guys, you must connect to people from different industries, right? And as you befriend these folks over a period of time, you can request them from reference. Other way of joining Google is joining their sponsored coding events, right? Okay, so let's go to the third point, right? The third point is your resume. Remember that your resume is the first reflection of who you are to prospective employers. And the key is to ensure that all the data in your resume is correct and it honestly reflects some of the key attributes that the employers are looking for, right? But at the same time, just because you know that the employers are looking for these 3-4 things, you just cannot write a story there. Okay, so you have to really believe in what you are writing. You have to ensure it is absolutely honest, because otherwise you will get, it will come out in the interview process. So some of the key things that companies look for in freshers, the first is openness to learning. Second, I would say, is leadership skills or problem solving skills. And third is, are you a team player? So a couple of ways of projecting these things are, when it comes to openness to learning, in your resume, you should list all the courses, trainings, etc., that you have done, which is over and above your standard college curriculum. Also list, other areas of learning. For example, do you know any additional languages? Are you interested in music or dance? Is there something that you have learned which is much broader and over and above what you are reading or learning in your college curriculum? Let's go to leadership skills. So how do you show leadership skills in your resume? Have you organized any events in college or out of college? Or are there any other initiatives that you have taken which highlight that you have organizational skills or you have problem solving skills, right? So all these skills, all these events where you have taken leadership role, you should mention in your resume. Third is, are you a team player? So maybe you are part of a society or you're part of a specific club in your college or outside your college, right? As a team, have you worked on any project that you can highlight that this is something you did as part of a larger team? Okay. So I think these are some of the key points that employers look for in a resume. Now let's shift to the next point, which is interview, right? So in this slide, you'll see I have divided interview into 3 parts. The first is your executive presence. The second is the technical interview. And third is the interview for other skill sets. So I'll start with executive presence. Yeah. So while it is a little difficult to define executive presence, I'll say that it depends on how you overall communicate, how you carry yourself, right? And how you are dressed. There's a huge bias for people who communicate well, are dressed well, and carry themselves well with confidence. I don't know how many of you have read this book called Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. If you haven't, you must pick it up. It's one of the most insightful book that you can read. And when you read this book, you realize that all of us, all humans, right, they have a habit of boxing people into category. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. And it is definitely not proven that a smart talker or a confident person will end up being a good employee, right? Or will end up being successful in life. But, our brain processes a lot of data all the time. And what it does, it develops shorter routes or shorter patterns for processing data. And one of them is first impressions. Okay. And first impressions really, really matter. We assess others in a blink of an eye based on how others talk, how confident they are, and how they carry themselves. Just imagine I'm giving this talk right now, and I'm sure you can feel that, I know the topic, I'm confident, I'm dressed well. This whole conversation is happening with confidence, right? The background is good. Now, these days, most of the interviews also are happening on Vcons. And I remember, I had a meeting with somebody. It was kind of an interview. And when I started interviewing this person on the video call, he had a clothesline hanging behind him, right? So I could see his undershirt and t-shirts hanging on the clothesline. Does that give a good first impression? It does not, right? And I'm not saying that, that impression can't improve, but the point is you just have 10, 15 minutes to impress your interviewer and communicate to him that you can do the job well. Right. So by ensuring that you carry yourself with confidence, you dress well, you communicate well, you increase your probability of being heard, and you increase your probability of bagging the job. Second is the technical interview. As an example, and I'll give you an example here because I understand the world of software engineering more. Let's say you are from computer science, right? And if you go for an interview, which is for a software engineer, you should know algorithm, data structure, and system design. Okay. And the other thing you should know is that the interviewer is not interested in proving what you don't know. Okay. They're only interested in understanding how well you know what you know. So no one expects you to know everything. But whatever you know or you claim to know in your CV, please ensure that you know it well. Right. A lot of times I've seen interviewers, asking that, okay, so what is your favorite subject? If you're going for a technical interview, right? Or what is your favorite topic in computer science? And let's say you say operating system. Okay. Then please ensure that you understand the depths of operating system, because the interviewer will ask you about operating system and nothing else. Okay. So ensure that whatever you know it well, and you need not know everything. No one is expecting that from a fresher. The last one is, you will be interviewed for logical reasoning. So logical, how good is your logic? Problem solving and aptitude. And the way it is done is, through puzzles or situational questions. And remember, a lot of times here, the final answer doesn't matter. What matters is your thought process. So can you think logically? Okay. Can you solve the problem logically? And can you communicate that logic? Right. So it is extremely important to share what you are thinking with the. For example, let me ask you a question, okay? And I know this is pretty much a one-sided discussion right now, but let's say this is food for thought, okay? So the question is that you are given 8 balls, and all balls except one are the same weight, and one ball is slightly heavier. You have one weighing scale. In how many steps can you figure out which one is the heavier ball? Okay, I'm pausing here. I'm giving you a minute to think about it. Okay, there are 8 balls. One of them is heavier. You have a measuring scale. In how many steps can you find out the ball that weighs heavier? Okay, so answer. So when I asked this question to somebody, right, he came back and said 3. And the answer was that, you take 2 groups of 4 balls, put them on the scale, right? One of them will be heavier, obviously. Then you take the heavier bunch and divide it into 2. One of them will again be heavier. Then you take the heavier bunch and put one ball each, and you'll figure out the heavier one. Okay. I just had to nudge him a little to start thinking in a different direction. Okay. So I said, okay, so instead of 4, why don't you think about 3? Right. So let's take 3 balls each, and then you need only 2 steps. I said that, but it was for him to figure out how this will be done. Yeah, and the fact that he could communicate and logically explain was, enough for me to know that, the guy is logical and has the aptitude for logical reasoning. Yeah, and you have all been able to figure out the two steps. So, Mr. Hemal, if we can go to the next slide now. The next slide moves into how do you build a career, right? So you've backed that job. How do you go to the next step? How do you build your dream career, right? So the first step, again, my 5 points here. The first one is focus on learning. At any stage in your life, if you're not learning, it means you are not growing. Also, do not be limited or, tunnel visioned in your learning. Focus on widening your knowledge base. Do not read, let's say you're doing computer science. Do not read only about data structures and data science. Read other books. Read and develop interest in other topics, not just science, but, maybe psychology or how to be a better leader or any topic that catches your interest. Right? So wider knowledge base and ability to connect different concepts is what builds creativity. Do you know that, Leonardo da Vinci, the famous painter, also significantly contributed to the fields of civil engineering as well as hydrodynamics? Einstein was a classical musician and played the violin almost to a professional level. The second thing, which is equally important, is to not fear failure. I remember in 2016, I joined Hughes Software, Aricent. In 2016, when I decided to leave Aricent, it was after 10 years, and I decided to join Invest India. So, Invest India, and because you're all in Gujarat, I want to quote this example. So, Invest India was, Prime Minister Modi's dream of bringing investment into India. It was a very successful Gujarat model that he replicated at a national level, right? But at that time, it was very new. There were hardly any people in the company. In fact, I was one of the first senior hires after Mr. Deepak Bagla, who was the MD. Right. And, I had lots of questions. I was very fearful that, should I do something like this, after a successful career, shifting to a Government of India initiative? Will I ever be able to come back to corporate? What will I do? So, there was a lot of fear in me. But, I really wanted to do this. I felt that this is something which will really help me go to the next stage in my career. And I really wanted to do something for the country. And I did not want to let go of the opportunity. And despite my fear, I took this step. I took a leap of faith, and I spent 2 wonderful years in Invest India. Right. And I think it was immensely helpful for me for all the corporate roles that I took up post Invest India. The third point, by the way, is my favorite. All right, which is collaboration. Are you aware that modern biology has actually punctured holes in Darwin's theory of evolution? And they believe that the evolution theory propagated by the French biologist Lamarck, which was almost a decade before Darwin, is actually a much more accurate view of evolution. Unlike Darwin, who viewed evolution as a battle between species, we all know about survival of the fittest, which builds this feeling of immense competition right from the time we start school, right? But Lamarck conceptualized evolution as cooperation between species. And he suggested that species evolve as they learn to fit into their surroundings. So, multicellular organisms grew because cells realized that they can depend on each other for certain functions and survive better. So it's not competition, but co-optation that defines the success. Even in corporate India right now, if you see, for example, IBM competes with companies like Tech Mahindra and Wipro in the IT space. But at the same time, they have a partnership with both these companies in the cloud domain, where both TechM and Wipro are IBM partners for cloud implementation. So similarly in your lives, compete only with yourself and cooperate with your colleagues, your friends, your teams, and that's the only way of success together. The next point, and the most important, something I also said in previous slide, is networking. Please ensure you're networking with your teams, you're networking with the wider industry people. I think you guys are very lucky to be born in the age of social media. It's much easier to get in touch and stay relevant in various social circles, right? So you just, while we are in the midst of a pandemic, people are still reaching out, you're still creating your connects, and I think that's a great boon of this generation. Okay. I remember in 1995 with this company, as I told you, which is Portec Computers Limited. And, that was a time when you didn't have many women in the workforce, and that too in sales. So I remember when I walked into the office, it was my first day, and I was told sales sits in the basement. So, I go to the basement, and suddenly, I noticed that everyone was quiet, and I realized it's because they're not used to having girls. So, I was the first girl in years in the sales team of that company. And by the way, I can laugh about it now, but it was very painful that time. By the way, I did my engineering from an all-girls college. So it's not as if I was also very comfortable, being in the middle of just boys. And my first reaction was to retreat. I was shy, right? But slowly I got in, I started talking to them and, became friends. And, it's been 25 years, and some of, some of them are still great friends with me today. And some of my seniors in that company are today my mentors in the industry. Yeah. Also, I think, you should ensure that when you network, don't network only with one set of people, right? So let's say you're in an engineering company or you're an engineer. Don't end up just networking with engineers, because the world that you are going to go in and work in, you'll see the walls collapsing, right? In Aricent, we bought a company called Frog Design. So Aricent was a pure product engineering services company, and Frog Design was into system design or, just design thinking. For example, the Lufthansa lounge in Frankfurt was designed by them. The first Apple keyboard was also designed by them, right? On first look, there seemed to be no connection between the two, but getting the power of design and engineering together was very beneficial to the company. In the Western schools, higher education is not as compartmentalized as in India, while doing students liberal arts. So ensure that, you're focusing on a next point is, have, can you imagine a football field without a goalpost? Where do you think the players will go? At all times in your life, it is important to have a broad direction. This broad direction, you need to have you're working towards. Where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Right? Do you have a personal charter? So just to help you with this, I would like to share that forever in my life, I've always had, I maintain a journal and I have a personal charter in that. So I define 4 things for myself all the time, right? What is my goal? My final goal post, and also the steps towards that goal. What is my personal balance sheet? Personal balance sheet means what are my strengths in order to achieve that goal, and what are the gaps? What is it that I still need to work on? And for those gaps, what is my learning plan or what is my action plan? And I keep coming back to it. I review my progress regularly. And by the way, there are times I change my goal, right? This is a working document. And as you grow, your priorities in life will change. And so will your goals. And it is, absolutely okay. You have to be flexible. But a life without a goal or without a purpose means, there is no direction. There is no direction at which you are shooting. Okay. The last point, last but not the least, is don't be shy. Don't be shy of putting forward your views. If you are sitting on the table, it is because you are expected to contribute. Always contribute. Do not think that because you're junior most, maybe, you should just listen, not keep quiet. Be confident, be bold, always give your views. And at the same time, do not be shy. Do not be shy of asking for help if you don't understand something. Yeah. Mr. Hemal, if we could go to the next slide. Mr. Hemal, if you could go to the next slide.
No, I'm competing with him. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, the next slide, as the slide shifts, the next slide talks about EQ. Okay, and I think this is a really, really important slide. Sorry, I'm looking for the right words. Okay, so I hope you guys realize that emotional intelligence, EQ, and a lot is being talked about this these days, right? What it basically means is personal management skills, right? How do you manage yourself, your thought process, your emotions? There's a wonderful book which I would recommend all of you should read. It's called Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. He's a highly celebrated psychologist, and his book Emotional Intelligence was a bestseller for years and years and years, right? And there are various editions of this book that have come. I think it's right now on its 5th or 7th edition. And, in his book, he quotes a research that he did in which he proves that emotional intelligence, or EQ, is twice as important as cognitive ability in predicting outstanding performance. And the ratio is 66% against 34%, almost double. And he says that in case of leadership roles, the requirement goes as high as 85%. Okay, that's the importance of EQ in our life. And EQ is basically 5 basic personal management skills, right? And if any of you is taking notes, you should write it down. It is self awareness. The second is self regulation. The third is social skills. The fourth is empathy, and fifth is motivation. Right. So he basically talks about self awareness, and because of self awareness, self regulation. And once you're aware and you know how to regulate yourself, is when you focus on social skills and empathy. Empathy is understanding the other person. And last is motivation, right? Which is a bridge to, I would say motivation is the bridge between your dreams to actually achieving them. Right. So let's spend a little time on each of this. Let's start with self-awareness. Self-awareness means being mindful of your thoughts and emotions. What motivates you, what stresses you, what do you want, and why do you want what you want, right? Self-awareness gives us a peek into how we relate to ourselves and hence others in our life. The best way towards awareness, what I do is maintain a journal. So what happens is when you maintain a journal, for a moment, it allows you to step out of yourself, right? And as a third person, observe yourself. Disassociate from yourself, observe yourself as a third person, and, question what you're feeling. You become aware of what you're feeling and thinking while maintaining a distance from emotions and thoughts. And I think once you are aware, you should be able to regulate and control your emotions and thoughts, right? And self-regulation, I personally, divide into 3 buckets, as you can see in the slide. The first one is resilience. The second is self-efficacy or self-belief. And the third is, just have fun, enjoy the journey. Okay. And I really think it is very important, self-regulation, because, I'm really appalled looking at the amount of, mental issues, how mental health is getting affected, and how the younger generation is sometimes just not able to deal with the stresses of life. Maybe we are just taking life very seriously. Yeah. So let's talk about each of them. The first trait, I think, which is very important to develop is resilience. Resilience means how soon you bounce back from a failure. Can you imagine someone never failing in life? If you ever find someone who's never failed in life, what it means is that the person has never tried anything new. If you move out of your comfort zone and try new things, you will fail. And when you fail, it is natural to feel bad. And depending on how big the failure is, you can actually feel depressed. And in my view, guys, there is absolutely nothing wrong in feeling depressed. If you've really screwed up something and you want to have a good cry, you want to really feel bad, I think you should go ahead and do it. But I think what is important is, once you allow yourself that experience, you need to quickly learn from that experience and you need to bounce back. You need to move to the second thing. Because it's not important that you failed. It's important that you learned, right? And it's even more important that you could bounce back. Let me give you, a very, very small example. So, again, it is small now, but I think 15 years back or 20 years back when it happened, it was not as small. And this is, maybe almost 20 years back in one of the initial companies that I worked for. And I had spent 2 to 3 months in the company, and we had a client visit, right? And I remember this was a Japanese client, and Japanese clients are very, they don't let any emotions show on the face. So at any time, you can't figure out what they are thinking. Are they happy, not happy? So it can be a little intimidating. At least it was intimidating for me. And while we were all sitting there was a big delegation from the client and my boss, the CEO of the company, and a lot of other senior people from the company. And the CEO stands up and says, Payal, why don't you present the corporate presentation of the company? It's not that I had not given the corporate presentation earlier, but never in such a big group with all senior people. So I think I got a little nervous and I completely screwed up. I fumbled for words, I blushed, suddenly my ears, my face, everything turned red and I really didn't know what to do. So thankfully my boss came to my rescue and, he kind of finished the presentation. Can you imagine how embarrassed I was? I mean, I decided I just have to quit this company. I can't show my face to this company. But, the point is, it was a couple of days. I just picked myself up. I went to the CEO. I apologized. And I told him, you just sprung it upon me. I was not prepared, but I'm sorry. I understand. I'm in sales and this is part of my job. I'll ensure that this doesn't happen again. And after that, I ensured that I practice my pitch like crazy. I will never go into a presentation without having practiced for it. The second one is self-belief, right? So just because I failed in one presentation, does it mean that I should believe that I'm not good at presenting? No. So remember, whatever you focus on and whatever you set your mind to, you will achieve. Do not let failures affect your confidence. No one is perfect. Everyone has improvement areas. Be aware, work towards a learning plan, and do not let failures undermine your confidence. The third trait is to not focus on the outcome. Enjoy the journey. So, if I go back to the example of, what happened when I screwed up that presentation was, the moment I was asked to give the presentation, I could actually have done a great job. So, I had been presenting, I had done various one-on-one meetings where I had presented the same pitch. But I think what happened was the moment the CEO said, Payal, why don't you present? I just thought that, oh my God, this is so important. It's going to define what the CEO thinks of me. And then I started thinking to myself, what if I goof up? Right? It's going to be so embarrassing. And this focus on the outcome made me so nervous. It made me so anxious that I did goof it up. So remember that, stress triggers negative emotions in our body, which further activate the neurosystem, which is responsible for protection. It's called, our biological or the primordial mode, which is fight or flight mode. So as soon as you get nervous, this takes over and it produces hormones like cortisol, which affect your immunity and it also inhibits growth. Right? Why do you want to put yourself through that? Just enjoy the journey. Be driven by your goal. Have a vision of what it means to be successful. But do not drive yourself crazy by overthinking the result. And don't, start thinking of various scenarios of how things can go wrong. By being in the moment and by building a positive focus, your neurosystem responsible for growth, which is also called default mode network, takes over. And it secretes hormones like oxytocin and serotonin, which are feel-good hormones. And it also puts you in touch with your creativity, and your growth-oriented side. And it is a much better way of trying to reach your goals than, getting anxious and just spoiling the journey. The next one is social skills and empathy. Empathy is how we relate to the others. It is important to understand that reality is different for everyone based on their individual perspectives and beliefs, which are developed over a period of time. So I have been in so many meetings where you start the meeting and someone comes up, or the client comes and says 10 things to you. And after that, if you do an internal meeting to kind of summarize that, okay, guys, what did you understand? What exactly did the client say? It is amazing to see that if there are 10 people in the room, they'll have 10 different versions of what the client said. You understand? It's because, everyone perceives reality in a different manner. And remember, no one is intentionally bad. Would any of you want to intentionally hurt others, especially people you love? No, right? But we do end up hurting our loved ones, and that's because we have a different perspective, hence different expectation. And especially in an office environment, our empathy is low because, you're interacting with your colleagues. You may not even like them. They may not be your friends. And in such situations, you tend to be harder with the person, right? Very casual to you, and you start building all kinds of scenarios in your mind that, oh my God, he's mean and selfish. Maybe your professor as of today says something to you, and you start thinking that, oh my God, she is, always shouting. She always sets up unrealistic timelines for us. But maybe you don't understand that she's seen more of life. She knows that as you move into the real world, you will actually not get realistic timelines, right? Is she preparing you for the future? She's preparing you for your next role in life. Why don't you just ask her, right? The more open you are to other perspectives, more you'll gain professionally and socially. And the only way to do this is by listening to others, being mindful of others, being present, and not by getting distracted by your Instagram and by WhatsApp, right? Technology is a great boon till we know how to use technology. And last but not the least is motivation. And as I said, it is the bridge between your goals and your accomplishment. It is important to reflect and understand what drives you and what motivates you. When you're motivated to do something in life, it gives meaning to your life and it builds discipline. When I started off in my career, I used to wake up really late. So, maybe the hangover of college had not gone. So I was so used to, partying at night and maybe sometimes studying at night that, that just continued in my life till, I started suffering from intense migraines, right? And one day I just decided to throw all my medicines and build a healthier lifestyle. I started waking up at 5 for yoga. And till date, I maintain this habit. I'm not saying waking up at 5 will take care of all your issues, but build a routine that suits you and motivates you. If you are motivated to do something, if you have a personal motivation to do something, you will do it. Whether it is about building a new habit or whether it is about breaking an old habit, you just need to be motivated to do something. Yeah. I realize it's also dot to the time. So I think that was a lot of knowledge, a lot of gyan that I gave you in this session. But I hope this talk was inspiring and helpful for all of you. Yeah, I'm sure you have some questions. So I now hand it back to Ms. Vishali and I look forward to your questions.
Yes, madam, it was quite helpful.
Thank you.
And very knowledgeable points you had discussed with us, which will be very helpful to our students for interview. Ma'am, that some students have asked a question. Which skills do we need to improve for acquiring a job in corporate? I think you have discussed already, but still some students they want to know.
Yeah, so maybe I can summarize it once more, and I understand this would be, I think, one of the most important things that all the students are interested in, guys, right?
Yes.
So I think, you know one thing which is like really really important is your communication skills, right? So whatever you're doing, whether you're whichever branch of engineering you are in, remember communication skill is very important, because you are going to enter the professional world, which is very different, by the way, from what I went through. Right now, skills like how you communicate, how you present yourself, so all the soft skills are really really important. The second is, when you talk and when you build your resume, please ensure that you are demonstrating that you are honest, and all the information is correct. The third one, that specifically for the engineering domains I would like to say, is logical reasoning. Very important. Problem solving skills, very important. And the last but not the least is, of course, your technical skills. So subject matter expertise of what you are studying, right? Again, if you don't know everything, it's all right. But if there are 2-3 topics or 2-3 subjects that you really like, focus more on that. Ensure that you are experts in that. Right? We are moving to a world of expertise.
Yes. And can you tell a simple formula for answering the question, tell me about yourself?
Okay. So again, everyone will have a different view to this, or a different way of responding to this, right? So what I want to tell you is, when an interviewer asks you, tell me something about yourself, okay? He is actually not listening to who you are. He is listening to how confident you. These are called icebreakers. Sorry, these are called icebreaker questions, right? This is just to start chatting with you, right? Make you comfortable. And what he's going to look at is how you are communicating, how confident you are, what is the tone of your voice, right? And, are you enjoying the process? So, frankly, it does not matter what you answer. Your words don't matter. Guys, another thing, remember, in communication, words, except for a technical interview, right? There your answers need to be correct. But normally in a communication, words is only 7%. Body language is 55%. And your tone is 28%. So questions like, tell me about yourselves, are very generic questions. It doesn't matter what you say. That, hi, I'm a 4th-year student of this college. These are my favorite things. I enjoy music. I enjoy writing. I've in my free time, I love to write. I love to play the guitar, and I love to read up. Okay, just this much. It doesn't matter what you say. Say it with confidence, and show the other person that you are enjoying this interaction.
Okay. So we should be quite confident while answering this question, right?
Yes, yes. And also, if in this question you say, I love reading, okay, rest assured that the next question will be, what do you read? So whatever you say, it should be honest. And that's why I don't want to give you an answer, because I'm different and you are different. So talk about what you like doing, talk about who you are, because the questions will be then based on that. And let's say if you have nothing, it's okay to say, I love studying. I love being with my friends. I love chilling. I love watching movies. It's absolutely fine. Just be comfortable.
Yes. Sure. And which strength should we have that would help us for good performance in corporate?
I think again, so there, if you go back to my slides, and I'm sure Ms. Vishali or Mr. Hemal will share it with you. So there are 4, 5 I have written. I think one of the key things, guys, is you when you are starting off in your career, focus on learning. Okay, the skill that you need to have is your ability to learn different things and new things. The second is communication skills. I can't stress enough on that. And third is networking skills. Remember, you are entering a highly networked world. Okay, be comfortable with people, be social, network with your colleagues, network with your seniors, go for office parties, right? Have a great LinkedIn profile and be connected to at least 500 people on LinkedIn before you start working.
Okay. And can you share some interview questions which are asked during corporate interview?
Okay. So, I have a suggestion. If you go onto the net, right, and you type in, I don't know what, maybe you should type in the most common interview questions, right? Or ask questions that Google asks in its interviews, right? Because, these prep you well for interviews. But from a theme perspective, remember, it will be technical. There will be questions which will be put as puzzles, like the one that I asked, 8 balls here and there. Or they may be situational questions because they are trying to see how well do you handle stress. Okay. Again, some of them, there is no right answer, there is no wrong answer. He's just assessing how you are handling stress. Okay. Again, remember, except for your technical interview where your answers really matter and you can't be just giving all wrong answers, the interview is all about your body language. It's about how you communicate. It's about how confident you are. It doesn't matter whether the answer is right or wrong. No one is looking at that, right? But some of the very standard questions for freshers are, tell me about yourself. It's like a conversation. In fact, the interviewer will make you feel very comfortable and then start the technical interview. Okay. So don't be very bothered about, what the questions will be. But that's something you can look at. It's mostly about, describe yourself. What do you like doing? What is your favorite subject? I ask that, by the way. If I ever do a technical interview, I do ask what is your favorite subject or what is your favorite topic in computer science, let's say. And then I will ask a lot of questions around that.
For
Right?
technical questions.
And otherwise, the kind of question I asked is a lot of puzzles and what do you like doing, just to assess your aptitude and attitude, right? What do you do in your free time? Because that shows, and all these questions are fillers. They give you an opportunity to show your interviewer 5 key things. You are open to learning, you are confident, you are a team player, you have leadership skills, you know how to organize things, and you're enthusiastic and willing to work with them. This is what you have to communicate, whatever the question.
Yes. So we have to take care of these 5 points.
Yes. Yes.
While answering. Okay, ma'am. And the last one is, what is the best way to bounce back in difficult situation?
Okay. I don't know if it is the best way, guys, but I'll give you my way. Okay. So my way, and I've had quite a few failures in life, some small, some big. Okay. And the way I bounce back is basically by writing. Yeah. So everyone has a different way. My way of coping, my coping mechanism is writing. And by the way, I also blog and I write. So whenever I'm, feeling really bad, I just put it in my journal, and I write as a third person, right? So I write, this is what I'm feeling, and then I just step out and I tell myself that if this was happening to my friend, what would I tell her? Sometimes we are all very hard on ourselves, right? Because we have such huge expectations from ourselves. I think we should all learn how to be nice to ourselves, right? If your friend is going through the same situation, what will you tell your friend? So just say that. And I think a lot of introverts do this. A lot of extroverts, people who get their energy from other people, I've seen, will just go out with their friends, cry their heart out, talk to five friends. I think a lot of girls do this. Talk to your friends, and you feel lighter and you feel happy. And then, end of the day, the thing that really helps is optimism. Believe in your future. Have faith in your future. Have faith that it's all finally going to be good. And when you look back, today when I look back at that episode that I had in Aricent about the presentation, which I embarrassingly goofed up, I laugh at it. I laugh at it. But at that time, I was ready to die that, I made such a fool of myself. Okay. So, I'm sure you'll develop your own coping mechanism, but the key thing is be positive and be optimistic about your future.
Yes, confident and positive is the key for success.
Yes.
And writing habits, right?
I think writing a journal really helps. Otherwise, of course, the best is go and cry in front of your friend until you don't feel good. Just ensure that she's sitting there.
Okay. Sure, ma'am. Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your valuable time. The session was quite helpful for all of us, for faculties as well as students. So
Thank
if
you.
we want to move on now for faculties also, it is quite helpful. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you, Ms. Vaishali. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed your talks and the questions.
Yes, sure, ma'am. I would like to thank you, the head of our department, Mr. Hemal Patel, sir, the HOI of our institute, Professor Chatin Vaidya, sir, the academic director, Dr. Mahesh Bhatt, sir, and the president of our university, Dr. Devanshu Patel, sir, for motivating and supporting us continuously. Last but not the least, I would like to thank you, all the participants who were here, assembled here today for this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Jiten sir.